went on a break, we talked about the fusion between entertainment, music, and sports. And you said you've experienced that because from sporting festivals, a lot of musicians have excelled in their careers. Can you tell us about that?
With football and music and entertainment, it's really part of a big family.
Yeah.
So you find that, for example, when we had our FA Cup, which is major tournament in Lagos final,
Yeah.
we had Dr.
Seed or
No, the
small doctor?
small doctor. Sorry, that small doctor. And, you know, just by announcing that small doctor was coming, the whole of Agege was full because he didn't use that area.
Yeah, yeah.
Eco football itself is a lifestyle. Apart from football, it talks to the lifestyle of kids and encourages them. And when we started, we had our Eco Football Festival a few years ago. We had Wizkid and Little C as our ambassadors, and it was very full. And many of these stars that you see today, then they were upcoming, so they were all flocking to play at that festival. When we have our beach soccer, we have the same thing. So it's the people who watch football tend to be into the lifestyle of contemporary music. So it's the world over, not peculiar to us. So there's a definite marriage between football and music in particular.
Music, yeah, yes, certainly. Okay, you know, encouraging young people to go into sports, you know, they have to, you know, using the eyes, their visuals, what they are seeing around. So I have to, this is a question from Tayo too, and he sent an early question, and he's saying, what is your take on the state of sports facilities in Nigeria? And do we need more stadiums, especially grassroots level?
Oh, certainly. The stadium we have is totally inadequate. Lagos is one of the big cities, but even then, we're unable to satisfy the need, the requirements for stadium. We're forever trying to manage. At the moment, we're hosting the Super 6 of the Nigerian Premier Football League, the end of the season competition, and they're playing at Agege Stadium. So in between, you have to try and fix tournaments, fix this, fix that, fix inter sports, fix. So it's grossly inadequate. My view is that we need to do something to encourage the private sector to come into development of arenas. It doesn't have to be a huge arena. 2,000, 1,000, 3,000 seater arenas are can put all over the place, and they will be filled and used, and they're commercially viable. So I think people need to understand that they're commercially viable because we need many more stadiums. It's a shame that we have places like the National Stadium, which has gone decrepit, and I'm sure that the government will do something about it. We have the Oniko Stadium, which has been revamped. The governors of Lagos State, and I also heard recently the Ogun State in particular saying they're going to take up sports very seriously. And we have no doubt. If that went across the country, then there'll be a lot more playing fields for the young children to express themselves.
Yeah, that's really great. Okay, so still talking about entertainment and tourism, football tourism. Yep. How viable is it in Nigeria? Because now, you know, before we came on air, I was talking to you about Egypt and how Egypt is an amazing city to go for tourism. And I don't know, I know we've been having some sports festivals in Nigeria, but how viable is football tourism right now in Nigeria, whether locally or
I think that football tourism, again, you know, football is the biggest business in the world. If you look at when we had the beach soccer tournament recently, CAF beach soccer, which we hosted in Lagos. If you, I can't remember the exact figures, but the number of people who came into Lagos was astounding. Luckily for us in Lagos, at least, the new governor has expressed that one of the things he wants to do is make Lagos a destination, tourist destination. And I was at an event where he said that would include sports tourism. So I think once we see that happening in Lagos, it would spread far and wide across the country. But for sure, we've seen evidence that it works.
Yeah, football tourism is important. Okay, I have here a text message and also a bit of a question. I know football is your core, but this one is from, this one says, my name is Seyi Grace. My favorite sport is wrestling. Okay, and I'm really good at it. Okay, is there any hope for young wrestlers in Nigeria?
Well, there is, and I don't know where Faye Grace is calling from,
Okay.
but if you give me the number afterwards, I can put him or her in touch with the chairman of wrestling association in Nigeria and in Lagos.
Okay.
So and they will take it from there. But yes, there's a lot of hope. All sports, football is just probably the biggest sport, but all sports have their own niche and
Yeah.
have their own advantages and
Yeah.
and roots. But I'm in touch with the relevant people, so I can always put you in touch. And if you're that good, maybe you might be wrestling for Lagos or for Nigeria, whatever it is.
Yeah, I think that would really be interesting. So, Faye Grace, send me a direct message on my Instagram handle. I am Ify Ubah, okay, and we'll put you across to the chairman of the Wrestling Federation.
Yep.
Yeah, so chairman of the Wrestling Federation. So, Faye Grace, make sure you send a direct message to me at I am Ify Ubah. So you could fulfill your hopes of wrestling for, I'm representing Nigeria, but make sure you win gold. That's important. It's important you win gold. Okay, we are still having conversations with the first Vice President of the Nigeria Football Federation, Mr. Seyi Akinwunmi. And before we go on a break, remember you can call in and the numbers are showing on your screen, or you can send an SMS to 006-013-0837. Okay, so we'll go on a final break, and when we're back, we'll be asking our guests on questions relating to progressing from grassroots to being a Super Eagles player. I'm sure you all want to know how the process goes. So let's go on an interesting break, a music break, and we'll be back.
How many years it go take till you blow? In the beginning game, seven day fasting. Yeah, one mo kuru be a better, one mo ya were be dene, leo, but I the voice anything no ya kelo bere. One mo kuru be a better, one mo ya were be dene, leo, but I the voice anything no ya kelo bere.
No go miss for a Benny dark, but I no need just see before I ball on your father, baby boy shitting on y'all. Let your die father going 10 times harder than your favorite rapper. They don't compensate with no loss, bros. Don't know got boss, only God is bigger than us. Boss like no one does. I be the head, you be the tail, and trust. I know got sus coin to prove that point. But I even if I can't fall, I still looking dapper, bruh. They don't fit touch me, I'm magic, a bracadabra, that shit. Suck up, She came with a man, but ended up on the front seat of my car. You know, ain't nobody bother, I see nobody bother. See as I climb the ladder from Okada to the Panamera.
Dark bada, dark bada, dark bada. Oh yeah, dark bada, dark bada, dark bada, dark bada, dark bada. Oh yeah, dark bada, dark bada, dark bada, dark bada, dark bada. Oh yeah, dark bada, dark bada, dark bada, dark bada. Go tank, pelu Gucci. They wanna be me when they see me. Emi lagata pelu Fuji. Eba hippo and a goosey. No form, you dey feel me. I know you want fun, you dey feel me. I know they like girls, but they just me. And if I call you come, you go come quick. See, I no go retire. I never give you finish, you say you tired. I no go retire. You gonna be to your friends, they wanna conspire. Yeah, but I no go retire. I never give you finish, you say you tired. I no go retire. You gonna be to your friends, they wanna conspire. Pastor, in the beginning, seven, dark bada, dark bada, dark bada, oh yeah, dark bada, dark bada, dark bada, dark bada, oh yeah, dark bada, dark bada, dark bada, dark bada, dark bada, oh yeah, dark bada, dark bada, dark bada, dark bada, yeah. Emi la man, don't bet it, one mo kuru bite.
Super Lunch Chat Room, and it's a special edition, School of Greatness, in conversation with the chairman, Lagos State Football Association, and also the first vice president of the Nigerian Football Federation, Mr. Seyi Akinwunmi. Yes, and we've been talking things about football tourism, fusion between entertainment and music, everything. But I just need to ask you, what is the process? You know, someone who is probably just done with WAEC or JAM or in the university, and he's playing in maybe grassroots soccer, and he hopes that one day he'll be in the Super Eagles. So what's the process like? Does the person need lots of money, a very good agent, you know, or privileged parents? What's the process like to wearing that jersey?
I'll be honest with you, you know, it appears that in years past we lost the plot. Before, when I was young, it was purely, you know, you had players who were in school or who played academicals, and then they veered into football at the national level, at the state level, at the, you know. And then all of a sudden, you know, I think with the economic downturn and various other things, and also a downturn in the educational system, you had people who just came from nowhere, had agents or had somebody who would influence and all of that. So what we're trying to do is get back to that system where you start playing, and we have tournaments across the country, in every single state, under 13. It's called the Future Super Eagles program. Wow. By the way, we're starting the Future Falcons. So
yay, something for the women.
So the Future Super Eagles program, under 13 and under 15. So we get so the idea is that everybody in the state who wants to play football in the future should vie to get into the state team. Wow. So hopefully over a few years, the best players in the state team will get to the state team. And then we play zonal. So the Lagos State team will play against all those in Southwest. And then we choose the best ones from there, and they then go on to the national the 13 team, and then the 15 and the 17, and so on and so forth. So it's from organized competitions. So that academies will then have to register. Because we have a plethora of academies, all sorts, all manner of them. But if we have regulated tournaments, then they will come and register, and we'll take it from there. So it's going to take a while, but we're on the right path, I think.
Okay. I know you've said quite a lot about various things for football academies, and you know, talked about private-public sector partnership. So, but regarding to football academy, because some kids, unfortunately, are not even in school, but you know, because of you know, financial issues or things like that, but they have hopes and dreams to play football. Most of them, you see them in public parks playing football on weekends. Is there any hope for them? Are there like football academies that like NGOs that can help them, or does the commission at times pick up young boys from the streets?
Oh yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, it's sporadic, because there are not many people who can be like me. I mean, I was coming here today and I asked my driver to stop because at Oroshoki down there, so some, you know, there's a bit of traffic, and I saw some guy who was, you know, who displayed. So I had to stop and let me watch for a few minutes, and I saw, so you know, but that can't work. It's not a sustainable way to do these things. So what we're trying to do is ensure that these academies begin to come themselves to register, because we can't shut them down. There are too many. And when they come into these competitions, come and register of their own volition, because they know that the kids cannot enter the team unless they come into that competition or those sort of competitions, then they will come and register. And then we can see these kids. So even if you're not in school and you're playing for the academy, we're able to, at that young age, capture you into the net of football.
Okay, quickly before